You know, despite these things being in the game for so long, I haven't actually explored one. Oh, and maybe there's good reason for that. Maybe I should drink the potions that I brought. There we go, now I won't drown. But you know, I don't really blame myself for not exploring one of these. They're kind of useless, besides maybe the smithing template now. But I've grown older, and I've matured, and I've realized I need blue shiny rock. Prismarine is a really cool building block, and I've never had access to it in survival, and I want that. So that's what today's episode's going to be about. Probably not the best time to talk about it, but new skin. That's nice. Anyways, I'm going to finish exploring this thing, and then we can get to the actual project of today. Okay, I don't think there's a sponge room. So I might as well get on with what I was gonna do. First step of the day is going to be making a guardian farm. Now, I've seen guardian farms before, but I've never actually known how they work. I thought it was gonna be a really complicated process. It seems like it would be, you know, managing big, fluffy fish things with lasers. It's not at all. You kind of just make a big cube of water, and then they'll fall to their death, and you collect the things. It's not very interesting at all. But I'll still explain the mechanics and why that is, because that's a little bit interesting. And, I'll do it while I'm draining this whole thing. Okay, first of all, this process took way longer than I expected it to. I know people take a long time whenever they do this. I didn't think it was this much time. You look at it and you go, hey, look, building, it doesn't look that large. And then you have to place all the sand, and then you have to remove all the water, and then you have to break all the blocks, but then there's more water, so you got to remove all that water. And it's just, it's not fun. But I'm happy to say I got it done, and that's all that matters. As for the mechanics, the guardians will spawn from the base to the very top of the ocean monument and within the area of its base. So you've basically got this cube where guardians will spawn even if there's no monument there anymore. Besides that, guardians are much more likely to spawn if there is a block above their head. I think it's a 95% failure rate if there isn't a block. So whatever water source that we have to spawn these things needs to be covered with a roof. So I guess there's nothing else to do other than to build it. Now I can make this thing as large as I want as long as it fits within this cube. I don't think I need anything terribly efficient, so I'm not going to fill up this whole space. Mainly because if I want to modify this in the future and make it look not like 4 giant stone walls, then I'm going to need to drain more unless I work within this space and give myself some room, right? So I'm not going to take up this whole area. It would be a bit overkill if I did that, but I will use a lot of it. Now, to build this thing, it's probably smartest to go from the ground up. So first is a collection system. I am going to need a lot of hoppers. I have none. I have no hoppers. Hold on. Okay, now I've got them. Now I'm going to be adding a component into this farm I typically don't build, which is an item sorter. I'm treating it like a component, so I allowed myself to look it up. And I'm very glad I did, because there's probably no way I would have figured this out on my own. I did have to make another smaller, yet still large, hole in the middle of this. That's because our guardians, the highest they can spawn is somewhere up here, and they need to take enough fall damage to die. Where they will land on our minecart track, which is going to sit on these blocks here. As you can see, I've got our system set up here, minus the redstone of the auto dispenser things. They've been on a bunch of other farms in my world before. And all of them connect to a hopper line down over to here. And this is going to be our item sorter. I'm fairly certain this is just a very well-known circuit, so I don't know entirely who to credit for creating this, but I don't think I need to. Just gotta clear out some space behind this, which is something like that, plus a comparator, and some dust, and a repeater, and a torch, which I don't have any sticks, hold on, and a torch. And actually, within my time of grabbing that, I realized I only need 3 of these, not 4 of them. And the last item doesn't even need to be sorted, so actually I just need 2 of these. Now, the one thing I don't know is if this design is tileable. Yeah, I don't think it is. I can just bump this over, though. I'm not too worried about space. Yeah, so you can see 18 items in here. There's the one locked down here. And then whatever's left is going in there. Okay, item storage are officially in place, and a really ugly box room to collect everything, but I'm rarely going to be seeing this, so I don't care. Next up, I should probably actually make these. And there we go, all 3 set up. Next step being to actually lay out the tracks. Boom! Tracks in place. Wow, look at that. That was a lot of gold. I have no more gold left. Future me problem, once again. For now, we'll keep chugging along. Just gotta cover all these tracks up now. And finally, I can start dropping fish. First step, the walls. Second step, 3 shulkers worth of signs. This is gonna be really annoying. Before anyone says anything, yes, I could have just had the signs facing the other way and it would have been a lot more efficient. I realized that about halfway through, but then the signs would have changed direction and it would have looked really weird. Look, it's all uniform. It was fun. I can't waste time though, this has already taken way too long. Water. I think I'm going insane. I have spent, I don't even know. I don't know how much time I've spent on this. In fact, let's check. Here's all my replay files. I've spent whatever that is in time on this whole thing. And that's active playing time, not all the breaks I took in between. It doesn't work, and I don't know why. Right now, nothing is spawning, and the crazy part is, there was a time where things were spawning. Before I put on the roof, there was like 6 of the Guardians on the floor. They weren't dead, because apparently this isn't a big enough fall for them to die from, but they were spawning. This is a fixable issue. The not spawning, why? The only conceivable logic I have for why the not spawning is happening after I put the roof on is that because this top layer of water is the only spawnable block, since it needs 1 block below of water, they're detecting the block directly above, and that's a problem. So maybe if I move the roof up 1, then they will start spawning, but then I have the whole problem of them not dying here that I would have to solve, and I could either do that with lava or with magma blocks. I think magma blocks would work. I would have to test that because I looked it up, and then some people were saying it wasn't working, but then people were saying they're acting like it was a bug, and I just help. If you have ideas of how to fix this setup specifically without, you know, doing 5 more hours of work, just let me know. Otherwise, the intro to the next video might just be blowing this up. There's other ocean monuments for me to attempt to renovate, and I'm not going to dedicate half a video like this one to it, but we might just need to build a new one. That being said, even if this was a total failure, there's at least some kind of a positive outcome. Look at these chests. There's a lot. There's so... Okay, maybe not these 2. But there's so much prismarine. I can survive off of that for a while. Maybe not the dark prismarine, but the other for sure. It's just once I run out of this, this is gonna become a problem. But I tried, you know? And failing is a thing that happens. It's a part of the process. I like failing. It's cool. A little frustrating, but cool, because I learned something. If the direct block above is a problem, then that's pretty cool. Yeah, nice. Problem solving. Woo! Not doing that right now. I need to move on from this. And what more relaxing thing can I do than start a completely new project? Wish me luck. Alright, hopefully I've done enough terraforming to where I can kind of explain what my vision is here. See, I have a lot of zones, I guess, areas in my world. We've got our abandoned apocalyptic kind of stuff. We got that. We got the zoo. We got this area, right? And of course, I want to add one more. Now this area probably has the most ambitious vision out of any area I've thought of in my brain. For reference, this is what I've done so far, terraforming wise. Took me like an hour or two, maybe. And what I want to cover involves probably an imaginary border around here and along here to this island, and then obviously up to this mainland. I want to fill in all of this ocean with underwater things. Now I'm doing this for several reasons. Obviously, just got Prismarine, so I wanted to mess with that. Intrusive thoughts one. Second of all, it's going to be a really good way to practice organics. I'm picturing a lot of things, big fish and coral and monsters and I don't know what. The ocean is a really good way to practice organic shapes. I don't know, something about aquatic themes and non-jagged things just go together. So yeah, obviously massive long-term, probably multi-year project that I'm going off of here. Not getting it done today, let me tell you that. But what I am hoping to have by the end of today is at least a teaser of what might go on further down, and I'm going to do that by making our entrance area here. So I've got a bridge and a path laid out. I'm envisioning building a bit of a gateway here, maybe adding more details down here. I don't know. I'm really not in the mindset to tackle the underwater organics part yet, because that's a lot, like a lot. But maybe a few structural things to hint at an underwater civilization, and then the path coming out of the water, and this bridge here connecting to normal land area. Yeah, might consider messing with adding some rocks to the surface. I want to texture this. It's not going to be stone. I just need to figure out what I want to do with that, and maybe some trees like coconut trees and some bushes. I don't know. Little lagoon here I can mess with as well. I still need to fill that in. But yeah, I will see you when I'm done polishing this whole area up. As I said before, just a teaser and a very small part of what is to come. But that's kind of my goal with this project. I want to take my time with a lot of these pieces and really put a lot of thought into every single block I place. So you may notice the terraforming is a little more than I normally do. We got the slabs for the sand. And I also finally explored a bit with rock textures here. There's this one here and then another one down there that are not just stone, which I really like. This is just supposed to be a kind of continuation of sandstone, basically. And like I said, being really intentional, we have the birch as that darker block, but also the oak coming in once in a while, especially in these overhung areas. Really shaded areas. But yeah, really happy with this rock. And then this area back here, probably going to be edited in the future. I'm not entirely sure what's all going to go back here. All of my abandoned region is going to expand off into this direction, so I'm going to be patient with exactly how I'm going to terraform this whole area, which is why you see the riverbed just goes away after a bit. Little button pebbles, I've done that before though. These palm trees, I kind of like. They're okay, they serve their purpose. If I built these in creative and had some more time to be finicky with the leaves, I think they would be even better. If you stare at them too long, they look kind of weird, but I think just as a set piece, especially like from this bridge, that looks pretty good. And of course, the bridge itself, it's nothing special. I thought Tough would go really well though with the Prismarine. Has that bluish tint to it. That's also in the Prismarine blocks, so it'd be a good stone for that. And it leads to a path that goes into the water. This is going to be our main entrance. This conduit is temporary. I'm going to build proper structures for these conduits, and I'm not entirely sure where they'll go yet, but yeah, that's there. And this path leads to our main gate. Now, I think I mentioned building a gate before this whole reveal thing, and I mentioned having a hint of civilization. Obviously didn't go with that. I think something a bit more natural ended up working out really well. I actually went into a creative world and used Axiom to mess with the shape of this archway and get an idea of what a misshapen half of a torus out of a ground would look like. It was something that was really hard for me to visualize, especially because I wanted it at an angle like this. And that was a very helpful tool. I'm really happy with what I did with the coral. We've got this thing. Again, don't stare at it too long. That's what I'm learning about a lot of builds. You just can't stare at it too long. These are supposed to be like barnacles on the top and bottom. The bottom ones are a little darker because shadows. And then this fan coral, which I'm also really happy with. I had the copper grates as like the, I don't know what to describe it as, but like the webs of this kind of coral have all the holes like that. It's good. Again, being very intentional with every block I place. Obviously, the path itself is going to be just random textures. That's intentional variation. But on this rock formation, thinking about where it's going to be shaded the most, and then transitioning that into some highlights on top. You can also see that over here, I want any rocks underwater, at least in this zone, to be this prismarine and warped and cyan wool and that. I want to keep messing with this color palette because it looks really cool. I have this really weird tendency to avoid the color blue. I don't know why. I think it's because it's kind of the default, everyone's favorite color, and I'm different. So I always avoided it, and that kind of transferred into my later years. But now I'm exploring it again. All these fish are frozen. I don't know what's up with that. Are you okay? I don't know what's up with that. But it's really funny looking at this from a bird's eye view because it made me realize how much work I put in to an area that is like 1,000th of the entire project scope in my brain. As I said earlier, I want the barrier, a literal barrier, like a barrier reef, running along the outside here through to that island and to the mainland. This whole chunk of ocean is going to be transformed block by block, like I did over here. And even this, I don't know if I detailed it enough. There's probably going to be more things I come back to and do, and I know underwater for a fact I'm going to add more things. I want custom coral and vegetation everywhere, and I want wildlife. I want to build fish and sharks and all of that, and conduit structures and other structures, buildings, a whole city. Maybe even a temple. There's so much I can do with this theme, and my favorite part about it is this whole section is going to be visual. It's just going to be for looks. None of it is going to be practical. One thing that's given me a lot of purpose in this world so far is having a farm to build around. The bee farm is down in there. The potion thing is in here. You know, the creeper farm is in this silo thing. But I'm kind of getting more comfortable with striving away from that. When I make these videos, I like to have an objective, and the more practical that objective is, the more fulfilling, I guess it seems, or the more validated it is for me. But I really want to give myself some more freedom with what I do. I mean, this episode was me building a guardian farm that doesn't work, and then messing around on like a small chunk of land, and honestly, the impact of it in my brain isn't much. It's definitely different, but it's not like wow, you know, it's not like this build where it's like wow. But at the end of the day, it was still a really interesting process for me to go through, and I got to showcase my thought process and my evolution and my ideas, and yeah. Obviously, there's only so many things you can do in this game if you are pushing for practicality within every build. And I don't want this series turning into, hey, let's build the 5th carrot farm, because why not? At the end of the day, I want to do things that I want to do, and I want to be able to show them off in a cool way. I would still like to hope that it's worth watching, and that you'll get something out of it, maybe. And if you don't, oh well, wait 2 weeks. I guess. I'll do better next time. But yeah, anyways, I don't know when this project will show up in a video next. I may or may not be working on it on the side. I may or may not be working on more things on the side within this world, honestly. When I started it, I was very okay with that. You know, I built that... Hold on. You know, I built this whole church over here for a bit in the second episode, and I didn't show any of it. And I was just like, that's okay. That's fine. And a lot of the time, I restrict myself from playing the game just be... Whoa. I'm sorry! I was trying to say, a lot of the time, I restrict myself from actually playing the game because the undertaking of a whole video project is within the scope of that. And something like this is going to make me worry less about that. But yeah, basically, long story short, I'm gonna stop worrying about trying to provide content for the video, if that makes sense. And it's just gonna be good by default, because I'm terrific, aren't I? I don't know where that sudden burst of ego came from, but I'm gonna go now. This video was a week and a day late, but other projects may or may not be in the works. At least a single video, I can confirm. Other things potentially in the future. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Bye. 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 Bye.